Well, thank you so much, Doctor. Thank you for the introduction. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here to also have very meaningful conversation. So I'll try as much as I can to be able to share insights, and I believe that it's going to be really, really impactful for each and every one of us. I will try to go straight to the point as much as I can. So, on introduction, my name is Alex Onyia. So, I run several things. I wear so many hats, but one of the most important organizations that I do is Educare. We provide the backbone tech software for almost all the schools, top schools here in Nigeria. We also offer that same thing for people in Iraq. We offer for Kenya, Tanzania, and so many other countries. So, and I mean, we've really done well, and I'm really happy of the impact that we are making. So we also have Switch app where we power payments for a lot of businesses. Then I also do for purpose, which is intervention for Southeast education, which I also try to use it to support education in the country. And my mission is very simple. I want to see how we can move from a third world to a first world within our generation. And one of the critical areas I've always looked at is education. So I've always been thinking. Sometimes I come from the point of advocacy, sometimes I come from the point of solutions. Yeah, so one of the things I do is I try to narrow my thoughts into first principle thinking. Sometimes people call it first order thinking. So the first principle thinking makes it so easy for me to be able to narrow down complex thoughts. So sometimes you ask yourself, what is first principle? First principle thinking in physics, they will tell us what is Newton's third law of motion, action and reaction are equal and opposite. Without obeying that principle or law, you can never fly a rocket, right? And there's so many first principle thoughts. So what you normally do is I bring down that complex thing and I just identify the actual truth. And that truth is what I work on. So when people are making noise, that's not what I hear. I try to how I can miniature everything. So today's conversation is going around building skills for ruthless execution. One of my strengths in everything I do is execution. So like I tell my team, everybody is smarter than me, but I take more risk than anybody. So that's why I'm different and unique. So I understand how to take risk. I've been trained over time how to take risk. So most of the time I see something 5 years ahead, excuse me, and I start going for it. And once I start going for it, most of the time, because in every point you need super talented people as your army. So I'm ruthless. I understand how to move. I understand how to execute. And I also understand time. And I understand that a lot of things has a lot to do with execution. So as we go deep, I'll be breaking down some certain things and be giving down references. And that's the reason why I'm able to build a lot of these things. I run so many things simultaneously and I do them effortlessly. And at the end of the day, I spend less than 5% of my actual energy because of the way I structured it and because of the way I do. So I'm not distracted, I'm not busy like in the whole term. Ideally, if I didn't do it well, I'll probably be one of the busiest persons, but I do all those things at a high level of excellence. Now, like I said, our conversation is building skills for ruthless execution. How ordinary people consistently produces what extraordinary results, which kind of defines me. So now I want to ask a question. How many brilliant ideas have died inside our notebooks? I know sometimes we engage, go to programs like this, we are writing down, we are putting in our jotter, we are doing this, we are doing that. Probably we've done it for several years, but the big question is, how many of these ideas have you executed and how many of them have died? And sometimes life is all about, it's a race against time. There are some things that should be done now. There's something that should be done yesterday, that there's something that can be done tomorrow. So because you refuse to do them now, check that your notes, check those your jotters, check those your stuffs on your phone. How many of them have died? because you keep writing, you keep writing, you keep writing, you keep writing, but you never execute, not even one, because you're afraid, because you don't want to do this, you don't want to do that. Another question is, you run an organization, how many of your strategic plans are gathering dust? You know, they always have strategy meetings, strategy meetings, strategy meetings, and you strategize and strategize, but you never do one thing, not even one. Because there's this principle I normally follow, right? Fail fast, fail a lot, fail fast, get the knowledge, learn, and get one thing right. So whenever I think out something, I mean, there's this thing called the lean methodology. If I think out something, I try to experiment it at the barest minimum. Let me see the likelihood of it working. I don't waste my time. So if it's not going to work, I don't waste time. If it's going to work, I go on with it. So I mean, I may be in sessions like this. People can write 100 things. I can only write one thing. And once I'm leaving that place, I'm executing that one thing. And if it fails, it's fine. I mean, when you start executing a lot, you get used to failure. But the point is really not about being or relaxing on failure. It's about learning where they can, because every single action, for me, failure in the real sense does not exist. What it means is that you tried this model and it did not work. That doesn't mean that model will not. Maybe there are some things you didn't get right. You can study it and then try something else. So by the time you do a couple of iterations, you see that one thing may work. Do you know how long it took them to find the cure for malaria? You know how many years it took them? Some, if it's in traditional mind, you will say malaria does not have a cure. Otherwise, everybody infected of malaria should die. But there are curious minds who, while failing a lot, they keep trying. That is the mind of an executor. And by the time the results show, nobody will remember the amount of effort you put in the past to be able to get to this point. So the big lesson here is very simple. As you think it, experiment it. Experiment it at lower scale. Oh, I want my business, I want to be able to run this X business. I want to sell to A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H customer. Beautiful. As you've thought about it, take a small section of it, go to A customer and try. Gather the feedback, whether rejection or progress, collect it, try B, go back to A again. By the time you do a lot of these iterations, you are very clear and you are very perfect. At that point, you can now build a skill. There are a lot of talented people, super brilliant people. They are still waiting for what we call the perfect time. And trust me, there was never going to be a perfect time. You have to create it. You have to create the system that enables the perfect time. It is very critical. It is very important we understand this. Now, like I always say, the world does not reward ideas, in case you never know. The world rewards what? Execution. It is because I have done, I mean, recently when we were in Rome, a lot of people are celebrating, oh, we did this, we went to this, we went to Rome, we took all the gold, we won every children in the world, and we took best in mathematics in the world. First, all our children. I remember the process when I was trying to organize it, because one thing about me is that over time, I am not a confused person at all. I always know the end from the beginning. But the thing is that I don't know the process, but I know the end. When I was telling my boys, we need to go to Rome and we must show the world who we are. A lot of people didn't believe, even when I was writing it, some people were like, why are you wasting money, blah, blah, blah. I just told them, calm down. We started the process. By the time we got into Rome, they now realized that whatever we are saying is real. That was when it became a national conversation. Even on the day of the award, I was telling them, you guys will get a gold, I'm sure. Even when they are calling every other person, they haven't called us yet. Fear, anxiety, everything is there. I told them, guys, we must come back with gold. And at the end of the day, we not just became best, we became overall best in the world. And this is the same spirit. Remember the first time we talked about Educare, I told my team, this is what I want to achieve. For you to be able to For every society to grow, people needs to build solutions that can help. And I think one area that we really need to solve is education, because we need this technology layer that can power the future of education in Nigeria and the rest of Africa. And nobody's doing it. Everybody keep buying on from UK. Why can't we build something so strong and reliable that can help reshape the system and a lot of things can layer on it? People didn't understand it. We keep building. This is our 12th year, and right now we are more almost everywhere. It's not really about the money that we generated, it's really about the impact that we've made. Right now, Nigeria education system is highly improved because Educare is the backbone of most of the schools you know and the education system. Because I saw the end, I know what we want to achieve, and this is just the beginning. Recently, we told my team, I want us to invest in an EMR because we need a unified health record system in Nigeria. If somebody has an emergency in Oshodi, somebody should be able to pull up a record and say, okay, this is the current health status of this person, so that they can attend to the person. We already started working on it and we're going to deliver it very soon. The same thing with payment. I told them we need a unified system. So I always try to understand what exactly is the problem. And once I think about it, I have an army. So what I normally do is that I have a lot of brilliant people around me. Some people that I hire that I don't even know exactly what they should be doing. But I don't joke with brilliance. Whenever I see brilliant people, I bet on it. So you always have reserve funds to be paying people just to be brilliant around you. By the time, at some point, they get into execution. Because what happens is when you have super intelligent people around you, what you should have achieved in 1 month, you can compress it in 1 day because they always find smarter ways to solve things much faster. They may not have the ruthless nature of you to be able to take a lot of risk, but once you explain the problem to them, and this is one of the reasons why Educare is a great company is very simple. When you have exceptional people that are building great stuffs, that is what makes a great company. One of the reasons why Educare is successful today is because of the level of brilliance that we have and every other business I have. So I bet on brilliance at all points. I love intelligent people. But the point is, I understand how the execution works. I show them the roadmap, I tell them what to do, how to do, and everybody executes. And then we come up with amazing results. And we don't waste time because we know that some things are time bound. If you delay too much, the time may pass because innovations happen every millisecond. So you need to also think, try, fail, try, fail, try, fail, try, fail, try, fail, get it right. And in the process, you've already learned a lot. And this is the story. People don't really care about how much you failed by the time you succeed. But people will care how much you failed if you never succeeded. So what it means is that whenever you start, just continue. And it's not just about executing blindly like a fool. Whenever you're executing, try to learn a lot, try to read a lot, try to study a lot. Thank God we have AI now. Try to prompt your AI a lot. Learn a lot of knowledge. Know why you failed, why you got it wrong. Figure out different ways and better ways to make improvement. Don't say because you failed and you're going to stuck on it or you keep trying the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. You will never get it. So you need to be someone that loves to read a lot because through reading and study, it's going to expose your mind to diverse knowledge that could help improve your next form of execution. Now, most projects don't fail because you lack brilliance. They fail because people stop doing what? Executing once the excitement fails. This is one of the key reasons why a lot of businesses fail. I mean, I built Educare. Right now, we're almost at 3 million students now. Remember when we built it at the first 1 million students, people didn't even believe. I mean, one of the hardest businesses you can ever do in this country is to build an edtech. One is to build it, two is to sell it. It's extremely hard. But we built it and we scaled it because I understood where the true problems are. I remember when I launched ReachUp, one of the first 8 days, I was in London Stock Exchange. We were having a conversation with, forgotten his name. He used to work in InterSwitch. We were looking at, okay, how can we do this? How can we do that? People normally give you the reason why you shouldn't try. But when I was talking to them, I already know where the problems are because thank God I had Educare. Educare gives me access to a large set of data. And because of the level of what we have in Educare, there's almost nothing that we can do that will not succeed. So why they keep thinking you fail, I already know how to execute. I got the right engineer, got the right engineering team, set them up, organized them, and built. By the time we finished, we succeeded very quickly. Remember when I did the first Southeast Mass Olympiad? We had 11,522 children. That's the one we did this year. That's the largest academic gathering in Africa. And now this year we are doing 40,000 plus. That's for 2027. So, and what my goal is very simple. I want to be able to change the conversation. I want to be able to catalyze. I want to be able to give you 2, 3, 5 million children the energy, letting them know that the only pathway for our progress and survival is education. And I want to reward them. So when we did it, gave them big prizes. Even while I was announcing it and moving, people keep calling, some money keep coming. We executed it. We went to Rome, executed excellently. Sure, Sterling Bank had to even come here and say, please, I love what you are doing. We're going to give you 60 million for the next one. I don't know if you've ever tried to do something before and you try to approach a bank for sponsorship. That's one of the hardest things you ever go through. But bank are the one that called and said, we love what you are doing. I want to give you 60 million. And they did not just make a promise, they did it quickly. So what it showed is that once you are in motion, you will start attracting a lot of positive energy. If you are waiting to write proposal to apply, I never wrote any proposal to any bank. I never wrote any proposal to anybody. So the same selling called again and said, we want to do more. They had to bring another 24 million for another project within the same space. A lot of people will call, I love what you're doing, I'll give you for 30 million, I'll give 40 million, I'll give you this, because I was already in motion and everything is so clear and professional. Because if I was sitting now and preparing for a proposal or making a lot of planning, that's the way Nigeria normally do, it will not attract the level of positive energy that motion attracts. Sometimes it seems as if I'm running mad, but I know exactly what I'm doing. And if I don't do it, we will never make progress. And I don't care about resources. What I always care about is what is the goal? And these are the things that we need to start developing that mindset. We need to start reevaluating a lot. Don't worry about where you are, what you do, your limitations. Just be worried about the clarity of the goal and then start moving. Like my new goal now is that within the next 24 months, I want to completely eradicate out of school children in the Southeast. And then I will extend that model in Nigeria because I use Southeast as my first experimental ground. And I'm going to achieve it within 12 months. I've been doing a lot of consultations. I've been doing a lot of study. I've studied back-to-back Singaporean system. I've studied Finnish system. I've studied a lot. And I've already started arriving to some core truth. And I've already started engagements. I know where the government have to play. I've already started the engagement. The ones that can receive is a no, and then I will come again. So, but the point is that my goal is clear, and I'm already communicating it, and we will achieve it. And we are dead serious with it. So you could see that some of the things I do appears impossible. And whenever something is impossible, people see it as impossible. I love it because the competition will be less. Because whenever people see something as easy, everybody will jump in there. So it makes it easy for me to put in a lot more energy, knowing that if I get it right, I'll have very few people to worry about. That is why I don't do common businesses.
So they are found around that.
Yeah, because common businesses are what everybody can do. But I like to do things that are hard. To compete with us on Educare is extremely hard. It's not impossible, but it's extremely hard. And probably before you come close, probably must have been another light years ahead. And this gives us an unfair advantage. That's why there's really almost no competition. And that is almost the same thing in every single thing I venture in. Even the Southeast is that from people who are or Southeast Asia, if you feel that we can do Southwest, do South Northwest, do a lot of, but it's extremely hard, and I know. So you need to understand that it is the goal that matters. And once you start creating the energy, remember, sometimes when you start pushing, definitely nobody promises you that it's going to be seamless. There are some points whereby I will ask myself, why am I even doing this thing? But I will remember, I'll hit myself and say, this, you have done it back to back to back to back to back. We're on your course. And remember, it is the generation, it is the future that matters, not really about what you're trying to do. So once I get on that inspiration, I continue to move. And everything always turns out right. There's this framework I work with, I call it the execute. So, when you are trying to work on your mental model, you create your own internal frameworks. I call it the execute framework. And what do I do with this? The first thing I do, like I mentioned when I was been talking here, is this. I try to get clarity, extreme clarity. Why am I doing this? If I don't understand why I'm doing it, or if I'm still shaky, I will hold off until I'm very clear. It is too important that you do that. And you can simplify why. Like you don't have to, like I said, if you cannot achieve it in one sentence, then don't even waste your time executing. I said, I want Nigeria, I want us to move from a third world to a first world within a generation. That defines every single thing I'm doing in education, both on the for profit and for purpose. So every single thing I'm doing is aligning with that goal. I am tired of complaining. I'm tired of living in a third world country, and I cannot run away. So we need to make our own country a first world. So both for profit, because you need a lot of money to support for purpose. Both for profit and for purpose is defined around that. Why did I choose mathematics? Because I know that the only subject that is important in the world is maths. Any child who knows maths will definitely be good in every other subject. So if I can solve maths, because the Bible says clean inside of the cup and the outside will be clean. That is exactly the words of Jesus. Applying it in what I'm doing. If you solve mathematics, you have solved the education. So that is why I had to put in a lot more resources in maths as a strategy to my mission. You could see the clarity, and that defines every single step I go. Because life is all about maths. Every second we are calculating. And maths helps to develop your reasoning ability, critical thinking ability, helps to develop logic. Because these are the things that you use to survive every single day. Even people that can't speak English or anything, they apply maths every time. Money comes to your account, money goes from your account. You want to make decisions, you want to analyze, you want to give this. Every single thing is rounded around mathematics. So when I got to that truth, I said, you know what? Let's focus on maths. Let's solve it at scale. And then we set our generation free. Another thing I do is executing before I am ready. Like I always tell you, don't wait for perfect scenario which may never come. Once the idea is there and you develop that extreme clarity, just keep moving. The worst that can happen is that you will fail. Then you learn it and then you try again. And you fail, you try again, you fail, you try. Who remembers that Nelson Mandela was in prison for 25 years, but everybody celebrated him because he became the president of South Africa. And that his days of turmoil became something we celebrated when he achieved the goal. So those days, those rough days, will actually be celebrated by the time you finally get to your goal. Too important that you never ignore. Another thing I do is I eliminate excuses. I don't understand what excuses are. And many of my team members know it. You rather just preserve the excuse for yourself and for your family. I always tell them if I want excuses, I'll just put in movie and then be watching. Or if I want to hear those stories, put in movie and watch. You probably can never tell stories better than the foreign or local movies. So I don't want to hear excuses. Once I'm very clear, so unless you cannot do it, it's better you say, I cannot do it, but don't try to create excuses. The same thing with myself. I don't create excuses for myself unless I say I don't want to do it. It is very important that this becomes part of our core DNA. So as you are thinking, think about these things deep. If you want to be anything, if you want to be anything, once your mind accepts, just keep moving. Remember, don't move blindly. As you are moving, as you are eliminating excuses, learn knowing that your life depends on it. Then another thing I do a lot is creating systems. I use systems to drive my life, to drive all the businesses I do. Everything is driven around systems. I don't work anyhow. I don't work like a fool. I ensure that systems are there because it gives me efficiency and it gives me stability. And it also helps me to be able to manage my own life because beyond just building businesses and creating and making all those things, you also have your own life, your family, your health, and all those things to be able to manage and to be able to manage well. So if you create systems, it lessens your burden. But if you don't create system, you will always be busy. I remember those early days, my phone rings like mad. Every second my phone is ringing, I'm answering call, this and that. Now I have 100x more responsibility, but my phone barely rings. And even when I'm abroad, I don't even want anybody to call me, no matter how long I am. If you want to reach me, you write me. Because I don't need to be there, because I have a system that is reliable. Then another thing I do a lot is accountability. I call it uncomfortable accountability. The reason is that once you develop a system of accountability, it checks you. Because if you can't check yourself, nobody's going to check you. I remember even when I did the, say, public ledger for the first time, a system to public donation, people see how you spend it and how you get the money, public ledger. In all my businesses, everything is brutally transparent. So it makes it impossible for you to misbehave because whenever there is darkness, there is misbehavior. Then time compression, how do I manage my time? So I'm going to expand it a little bit more now. So, like the way I broke it down, extreme clarity. Most people don't fail because they lack ability. They fail because they aren't even clear at all of what they want to do. You ask them, what do you want to do? You keep saying left, right, and center because you're not even clear. So you need to adopt the first principle thinking or the first order thinking. Understand it, break it down into the simple truth, and apply it everything you do. So make sure you define your goal in one sentence. So whenever you are confused, there is absolutely no way you can make progress. So it's only when you are clear that you can turn that ability into something that can do what hit. So one big question you always ask yourself is simple. What exactly are we trying to achieve or are you trying to achieve? Even in conversations, I can ask you, what do you expect from me? Because sometimes I can have a conversation with you, you say things, you come from left, right, and center. You know what you want to say, but you don't want to say it. And if I don't understand clarity, there's no way I can even fulfill you or even make you happy. So I'll ask you, what do you expect from me? And then you tell me clearly what you expect from me. And then when I come, I execute based on what you expect. And then everybody's happy. Like I always say earlier, execute before you are ready. Trying to be perfect will kill execution. Trying to be perfect. First version, yes, probably may embarrass you or not. Depends on how much experience you've gathered. But trying to be perfect, you will never achieve anything in life. Never. So whenever, like I said, move before every condition feels ideal. Learn from the real world, not imagination. You know, sometimes we stay in the room and analyze what. No, go out and learn because the real world has so many parameters that could make it go left, right, or center. So you need to experience it in the real world and so many other conditions to understand exactly what could work. Improve in public. and then repeat the cycle. So my own mantra is move, learn, improve, and do what? Repeat. Eliminate excuses. I've said it, I've highlighted it. There's sometimes when I repeat a lot of things, it's because I'm buttressing the importance of that particular thing. Excuses are expensive. And you as a leader, you solve. And for victims, they do what? They keep explaining. Akoko. Every excuse is a small permission to what? To be stuck in that place you are in. Because it's the reason why you refuse to grow. It's the reason why I did not do this. Because you are giving yourself excuses. Because if you have the mind that we're talking about here, you are looking at how can I solve it? How can I take advantage of the situation? Ruthless executors treat obstacles as a job, not an interpretation to it. So catch yourself explaining, then switch to do what? Solving it. Create systems, like I said. Motivation disappears, but systems remain. One of the systems here, for instance, is even this slide I had to prepare. So that even if somebody wants to go back to it, even when I'm not there, they can always go back to it and refresh, or some of the recordings we have here. This is also a part of system thinking. If I had just spoken, no recording, we get excited, we go. We may not have a reference back. These things are important. A good system makes the right actions and the easy actions. So it makes it easy for you to continue to have repetition of excellence because of the systems you create. Now, I talked about uncomfortable accountability. The biggest lie we lie to ourselves is I'm accountable to myself. Self-accountability quietly negotiates with itself. I hope you know that. And real execution needs someone who someone else measuring you. Like I said, what I normally do is that I create systems that makes it hard for me to misbehave. When you have those systems, it's harder for you because you need it, and that's the only way. Because if you don't do it, there's a way human body is. Let me just leave it because it's you. Because sometimes I used to ask people, do you want to run a lifestyle business or do you want to run a business that could scale and last for generations? That early decisions will help you to know. And it also inform your accountability. Time compression. Create Great executors create urgency. Deadlines create. So there's something I normally do, right? I do it to a lot of my team members. I create fake short deadline. We needed to do this. I'll just think about it. Please, we have an emergency and we have to deliver this thing in 2 days. Ideally, we are meant to deliver it in 2 weeks. I know that there are gaps. They will start complaining, this and this and that, this and that. I will keep laughing. We get on it with high energy and we keep working on it. Sometimes we are lucky we execute it in 2 days. Because I tell them that if what we can do today, let's do it today. Let's not leave it tomorrow. And you see that because of that short deadlines I give, we get a lot of things very fast. Our delivery time in Educare is second to none. And people didn't understand, even some of my team members. So I keep working on those deadlines because if we don't do it, we'll be struggling with a lot of customers. So, and whenever, that sometimes when people understand that there's no time, their momentum, their energy increases. But once they feel that there is time, everybody relaxes. Evaluate ruthlessly. Every week, ask honest question. Just ask yourself this honest question. What worked? What failed? What changed? What changed Monday morning? Very important. What worked? What failed? Remember, failed in the quotes is really there's no such thing as failure. It is just a room for another improvement. That is what I call it. So if you try something, you didn't get it, that's another room for another improvement. You try greatest innovations in this world, from light bulbs to electricity to this and that. There were millions of iterations for everybody to arrive at the truth or the constant that made it to continue to work. It was not automatic. So whenever you count what you didn't get right, improve, 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 and over time you get it right. So another angle is that execution can be very emotional. I've said it from the point of high energy. It comes with this whole beautiful, larger than life. But there are some things you also need to be aware of. Most people think that execution is productivity. No, it's not. Execution has a lot to do with managing your emotions as a person. When you're trying to do something, there are fears. There are self-doubt. Why me? Am I the brightest person? I didn't know a lot of smart, intelligent people everywhere that can do it. There are criticism, public and private criticism. A lot of it everywhere. There are failures, like I mentioned. You will still have to fail, which sometimes it can validate criticism or self-doubt or fear. Sometimes there are delays. You experience delays when you are trying to deal with government or bureaucratic systems. And then sometimes you get tired. You're a human being. But over time, you master your emotions, right? But in all these things, one thing you need to do is always make sure that your energy is high. Never let it die. Never let it die. So you experience some of these things. Over time, you find a way to conquer them. Because if you don't conquer them, they will conquer you. So if you can be able to suppress them, you will achieve a lot more things better. There are two questions that are on my day. What is that one thing that moves the mission? That I ask myself every single day. And then when about to sleep, I'll ask myself before I sleep, did I move the mission? I must answer these questions. If I don't move it, I will figure out ways or evaluate ways on how to be able to move it. So I want you to also learn how to manage your energy. I talked about energy. Energy is so critical because if you lose energy, you've kind of lost it as well. And there are so many things that you need to manage. Protect your mornings. One of the things I do is when I'm sleeping, I don't keep my phone around. I try to take my phone away, WhatsApp, chat, those things. I used to tell everybody that know me, I'm not an emergency line. Don't call me during emergency, especially in the morning. I want to use morning to pray. I want to use money to connect to God. I want to use money to build my momentum, do some study, do some research. This is my morning. Morning is the most productive time ever. So you need to protect your mind. Avoid your phone as much as you can. Avoid Twitter. Twitter is a major energy drainer. I use it a lot to share my thoughts, but I don't try to get myself engrossed in it. It's very important. Protect your deep focus. A lot of things we have more distractions now, notifications and a lot of things. Put your phone permanently on silent if you can. But the most important thing is that you need to start developing strong focus. As much as you can, reduce so many meetings. We barely do meetings in any of my businesses. Anything we need to communicate, you call up the person, you communicate, have a group meeting, you communicate, but we don't do all those meetings. Lie. I think probably in 2 or 3 years, we've never had like an organized meeting. But every team member that we need there's always constant communication based on exactly what you want to achieve. And we've achieved 100x more results than people who have a lot of meetings that produces nothing. Reduce your too many calls that are not productive. Try to manage your time. You have 24 hours the same way every other person has 24 hours. So if you try to build a lot of distraction with your time, you can't get it back again. So as much as you can eliminate distractions. Another thing that I want to advise people is sleep well. No matter what you go through in life, two things, eat and sleep. Sleep well. When you sleep, it increases your lifespan, and it gives you the enough energy to be able to execute better. No matter the pressure, sleep. Sleep and sleep and sleep. Off your phone, sleep, wake up. Again, sleep. You will achieve a lot better sleeping well and sleeping more than keep rushing and getting your energy, your mind active with very little productivity all the time. Sometimes when you feel overwhelmed, go and sleep. Do your exercises as much as you can, because a failed body is a failed everything. So make sure that your body is always active and strong, so it never fail you. Then always take your time to think before you react. Because if you don't think, you will keep making a lot of expensive mistakes. Then read, knowing that your life depends on it. Read a lot of things online. Buy a lot of books to read. Use AI as much as you can, because it is true knowledge that also helps you to execute better. There are 4 killers of execution. One is a fear of criticism. Kill that fear. Eliminate that fear. Eliminate it. Once you are very clear on what you want to do, kill the fear. The worst that can happen is that you didn't get it right. Then you try again. People will criticize even when you get, if you bring a 2030 Rolls-Royce Phantom and bring it and tell people to criticize, they can criticize it with 1 billion reasons. So the point is not really about what they are saying. It's about what exactly do you need to achieve. Stop waiting for permission, keep moving. I started doing a lot of progresses in education in the region. I am not a government official, but I've done a lot more, probably more than even the minister can do, because I am not waiting for anybody again. I'm already in motion. Too many priorities. Reduce them, reduce them, reduce them. Bring them back to zero. Take one thing and do one thing right, and then you are successful. And another thing I want us to learn, which is too important, is measure your progress. Sometimes we ignore that part, and it's very dangerous. In life, we have 3 things. Either you are improving, you are static, or you are declining. But you need to know that you are improving so that you keep celebrating your improvement. You are earning 50,000 today in businesses and your business, and tomorrow you are making 65,000. Next tomorrow you are making 70,000. Forget about whether the next person is making 1 billion. You people have a different life and a different mission. The most important thing is that you are making 50 and you improve to 65. You are improving. Celebrate it. You can make a lot of iterations again just to improve from the 65 to 80. There is no hurry. The constant is that always keep improving. It boosts your energy. This is one thing I like about people from Indonesia. I've never seen um, I've never seen the kind of people like them. They are so content. Understand that that single improvement you make is what matters to you. So forget about the next person. Just keep improving. You are making 1 million in revenue, tomorrow 2 million, next tomorrow. Forget about people who went to go and raise $3, $5 million. It does not matter to you. Keep improving. And that improvement strengthens you. So always make sure that you redefine yourself. Even when you had a bad behavior, you were smoking 4 times and all of a sudden you reduced it to 3. You are improving. Improvement will encourage you. Stagnation should get you troubled. And then decline should worry you. So never ignore tracking your improvement. It's too important. Take out your phone and open your notes. Very simple. I want you to write down one dream that you've postponed. Just bring out your notes and write one dream that you've postponed. They wanted to do tomorrow, wanted to do next tomorrow, you wanted to do whenever things are perfect. Bring out your note and write it. Bring it forward and start the execution immediately. Just write, one do you think you can do in the next 24 hours? Just one thing you can do in the next 24 hours. Start the execution now. And trust me, if you follow this model, if you follow this model, you will be more successful collectively at a scale that you've never seen before. Just write down those things. Write down one. Just a clear sheet, one. Do that one, execute it properly. Write another one too. And keep doing them. You'll be so successful. And let this become your model of life, because I believe this is the reason why we're having these engagements and conversations. Anything you need to do, do it. Don't wait for tomorrow. Tomorrow has its own worries and troubles and concerns. It is too important that you understand this thing. I always say something. We have this thing of somebody tried something 100 times. Try to strike a rock. And then it did not work until the 101. Some people will think that, oh, that it is one that made, no. It is that 100 that made it possible for the 101 to work. So take your time. Do a lot of trials. And remember, there is no such thing as failure. It's just another opportunity for you to try something differently, or make another improvement. And if we continue this, we are going to be collectively successful and prosperous at a scale that we've never seen before. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for paying attention. I think I've exceeded my 45 minutes. Thank you so much. And if you have questions, you can ask so that we can progress. Thank you, everyone. I hope you all heard me.